know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash here with my guy, legendary tight end, Jason Dunn. JD, how we doing, buddy?
What's up, my brother? How's it going, man? Sitting over here, Wednesday night, we taping. Everybody's gonna see it tomorrow. But I'm here showing a little bit of the red and blue, right? I got the Kansas City Chiefs and the blue. Support the Bills. Of course, the football, the NFL in itself, this brotherhood that guys represent. Guys that I love. Of course, all the things that's been happening this past week of the shocking situation and dire situation with Damar Hamlin. And so he's been on my mind. I'm sure he's been on a lot of people's minds in America seeing these things, just putting our thoughts and our prayers to hopefully this have a very welcoming outcome. An outcome that everybody's hoping for. And so it was good to kind of get a little bit of good news today that they took him off a little bit of auction, put him at 50%. He was on 100%. He's at 50%. I know it's still kind of touch and feel right now as he goes, and we're still praying intently for him and his family and the Bills organization, the Bengals organization, T. Higgins, everybody involved, everybody who's seen the play and seen the CPR being administered to him on the field. And so, in this time, we just want to make sure that we continue to lift him up, right? And, and the doctors and the nurses that are taking care of him, just giving him, special prayer for them to have all the knowledge and the resources and things that they need for his well-being. And so we are putting a lot of our focus and energy into that. Into this tragic situation of our brother Damar Hamlin, but that's where we are, man. And we've seen a lot of videos I have for the past couple of days where just showing the character of the man, right? Showing the human side of who this guy is, really, right? And sometimes what we fail to realize and see is exactly that, that he is he is a son, he's a brother, he's I don't know if he's a father or not. Does he have children? I don't know.
I don't believe so. I haven't heard or read anything about him being a father.
Well, the kids that's in the toy drop, because I think that's one of the things they want to show. And I think having those children, like, it feels like they're your own anyway. And him having a heart to do that, man. That's a beautiful blessing to be involved in that. And so, like I said, we want to take all our energy and our time and our prayers off to everybody, like I said, that's involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, obviously the whole sport world, the whole sport community, this has been, top of everyone's mind since Monday night. And, I think what it highlights is well, you kind of mentioned it. It's the fact that you are part of the NFL alumni, right? You were a player. These guys are players. When we saw Monday night, more so than that, and I think the NFL did a great job in calling the game off, and because people were watching weren't mentally right, the players on the field weren't mentally right to see what was going on. We're people first. You guys are people first. Your players, you guys are NFL players, but you're people, you're human beings first. And that's one thing. And I know there was the rumor that the refs were going to give the teams 5 minutes and then they were going to warm up again, which I believe the NFL has come out and said that, or Troy Vincent said that's not true. That was never the case. Apparently that's in the manual. If anything does happen when they stoppage a play, they give teams 5 minutes of warm up and they go right back to it. But apparently that was never going to be something the NFL wanted to do. And I gotta say, it's like one of those things. It's you guys are people, and I think a lot of people, and maybe reminded of that on Monday, that you guys are part of a unique group, that you guys are like superheroes to people. It's like you guys do stuff that a lot of people can't do. But I think we're reminded, and we're reminded in that play that it's like real people get hurt, and that's the dangers of football. And we saw what happened with Damar. And I think everyone need to see that. I think the people on Twitter, we always talk about the people on Twitter who like to call out NFL players and say this and that. But I think at the end of the day, I think people may have, hopefully, and we'll see the discourse going forward after the season. Hopefully, people will look back and see what we saw Monday night, and maybe take a different stances when it comes to talking about these players. What do you think about that, JD?
Well, I definitely hope so. And the reality is, when you see something like this happen, when you see the human side of players, and you realize that this is somebody who could necessarily you can relate to, because you just watch this guy when he's playing, and you realize that it is the whole cliche is it's more than just a game, right? People at that moment, I think, realized that the shock actually hit them, that we're watching in real time that somebody was under a duress, cardiac arrest on the field, that was losing their life, was brought back. I mean, that's what they said. I think they said that they revived him twice. Once on the field, maybe another time, but I think I read that. Yep. And so the shock of this moment really resonated with everybody. I think it really was like, wait a minute, hold on. This is not the sport of football. This is real life. This is life and death right here that's going on right now in real time with everybody that's involved. The players are watching this. The fans are watching this. Shoot, kids are watching this. I mean, we're talking about, this is Monday Night Football. Bills and the Bengals, okay? But everybody's looking at how much of a gravity the situation was as far as what it might have meant for the playoffs or whatever it may be to different people. Well, when they're watching it, of course, it was going to be a great game. We understood that, because these are two of the best teams in the NFL right now, and of course, they was going to show it. There's some really wonderful players on the squad, but at that moment, everything was secondary to what was going on, and so you can see it. Like I said, it could be your brother, or your friend, or somebody like that. They're like, wait a minute, hold on, this is real stuff. This is real life. This is real life. And so the response, I guess, from the medical team and the doctors and the trauma team coming out there was exceptional. They did a wonderful job. I think I seen the doctor was talking about, he said, man, you know what, the thing is, if something like this had happened, if it wasn't in the hospital when it happened, the second best place I could even think it happened is on the NFL football field. He said, because you just have a team of doctors and medical personnel around you. And that's true. We have doctors on the sidelines. And so when you carry this team, everybody, you have trainers, everybody, you have the trauma team, you have the ambulances, you have all of that that's parked down there in the stadium, right there in the tunnel. And you see them. And it's like they become almost invisible, because you get so used to them being there, right? And you hope that you never had to call on them or you need them, but you know that they're doing a job and they practice this all the time. They go through these scenarios. And so worst case scenario, they know they immediately have to be on it. And I just want to first celebrate them, man, and really pay homage to what they've done and their training and being able to come in and do the due diligence to save this young man's life. And so I seen Troy Vincent, who I know Troy. I play with Troy. And Troy Vincent is a man of character. Okay, he really is. And I know there's a lot of like miscommunication about what was said. What did the NFL say? You know, what did Joe Buck say and how many times it was said on reiterated there's going to be 5 minutes, this and that, whatnot. All of that is going to be hashed out. Nobody really knows, right? And there's maybe some brotherhoods and some truths there as well. But one thing I do know is this. Troy Vincent, having played with him, always has the player's best interest at heart. There's no question about that whatsoever, right? I know Troy is one of those guys that was like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. This guy, when he's seeing it, he's seeing a teammate on the field. He's seeing it. And so I know he was sitting over here. He was going through his mind like every other player that was watching this. You just felt this depth of like sorrow and numbness because in polarities of what do I do? What's going on? Helplessness, right? I mean, this is really what was going on. This is what it was all about at that moment. And so guys that had played the game and understood it and watched this, it was really like, this is our brotherhood. It was in the locker room. And it was just so, I mean, when I'm talking about, lost, and all you can do is just pray. All you can do is just hope he's all right. All you can do is just, try to cheer on the personnel, to helping the medical personnel to get him back to where he was. And man, it's just to me, like I said, they just an amazing job to where he is and getting him to University of Cincinnati, where they gave him the care that he needs and where he's at right now. So I've heard they've done an exceptional job. I actually had to take my son up there to University of Cincinnati, so I know they're very, very capable, wonderful university hospital. I know that. So, like I said, I've had my personal dealings with them because I know they do a very good job, very reputable in what they do. But this man, like I said, has everybody shook. Everybody was shook at that moment, and still now, even we're all still waiting to hear that good word, right? We're still, let's go on. And so, our thoughts and, like I said, our minds are there with Damar Hamlin. And I know how dangerous of a sport this is. Sometimes people lose sight of these are real bodies out here. They're putting their lives on the line. People can say whatever they want to say with, they make so much money, they do this, they do that. Through the entire week, I don't think people realize what guys go through. Physically have to go through, mentally have to go through, emotionally had to go through. And so you have to put yourself in these players' shoes, in our shoes, to understand that we are human, we are real people. We're more than just the helmet and the logo, and we're more than just that, and just the team across our chest, right? We are. And that's why I think when I watched this, it was so amazing, the outpour of support, from the fans, the Cincinnati Bengals fans, who did an amazing job in the moment of the concern that they had. Some I seen was in the stands praying, which was just phenomenal. Thank God and praise God for that. The people, was sitting there and showing that, and the people that were, whatever, giving the energy, whatever they wanted to do, like giving great thoughts to what was going on, like the concern in itself, just making sure that he was okay, right? And then seeing the guys going through it and making sure they okay. And so I don't think a lot of people miss the the heaviness of the situation. I don't think they did. Of course, obviously, there's going to be some, right? There's always going to be the negative part of it, and I really don't want to. I don't want to focus on those people because, to be honest with you, that's the things that we don't need, right? Because we see so much of that out here, of the negativity out here that those people don't necessarily need to be, shown or upheld, like giving them any type of win. But I will say this: when things like that happen and you do hear negative stuff, people need to be called out for it. They just do, and say it's bad behavior, it's bad character, being displayed. It should say, shame on you for that. So that right there is important because character matters. It absolutely matters. I know I'm kind of rambling, but there's a lot to say about this, man. I just, for me as a player, I couldn't get on Twitter. I don't know how many times I picked up my phone and I was like, nah, this is too personal for me to actually get on Twitter and just, I understand that sometimes it's people outlets on particular things, not necessarily mine. I tweeted to a lot of my brothers and colleagues and friends in the organization, in my football world, that we just prayed, that God just covers this young man and he's able to come through this. It covers the team and everybody else involved in this. And that's where it was. And so a lot of us were sitting over at, doing that at that moment, at that time, in the real time. And so it was important to try to find that voice, find people that you can lean on. And so that was where my support group came in. Actually, but one of my sisters, called me. She said, "Hey, Jason, are you all right?" And I was just like, you know what? I said, I don't even know what to say. How I was feeling, and it was like heartache. Heartache I was having at this was going on, and it was like I was one of the players right there on the field because that's really what it is. As much as we hit in the game and we talk noise and stuff, everybody wants everybody to go home. Nobody wants anybody to get hurt. Nobody wants nobody to get killed. It's the same thing like you could say like police officers. Nobody wants anything to happen to anybody out here. I don't care who it is for it, whatever nobody wants anything to happen. We want them to go home to their families. That's how it works. And my sister, she was a dispatch for for the police officers down in Bowling Green. And she was telling me of a story, how she felt like when they heard that one of the officers had tragically lost his life. And so how when it came over to her, she had to make the call out to other ones. And when she was going home and how she just sobbed, and the excruciating pain that she had, and her colleagues was feeling it, and it just went through the department and and the community got behind it and was, all of that, right? And I think sometimes when tragedy strikes, what you do start seeing is the good of people. That's what I'm very hopeful for. When I see these things, I see the quality character that you see in people are rallying together in these times that we have. And that's the goodness that we have. That's the goodness that people display during these times. And that's what we should hold on to. Whatever the people are bickering on the inside, at that moment, he was our brother, he was our friend, he was our father, our son, our colleague. He was one of us. As we all are. We are all in this family together, this human family together. There's no escaping it. I don't care who you think you are. You're not going to be able to do it. I know you want to separate yourself and the people, but at that moment, people found the empathy and the compassion to let their hearts out and concern for this young man. So, all right, I'm gonna leave it right there, man. As far as what I want to say, but go ahead. I know I'm saying a lot, but I just, it's.
I totally understand, man.
It's real. It's just so real, surreal, because when you're sitting over and you're watching it, it's just like, you just can't believe it. You just can't believe it. So,
well, I think I was watching ESPN. I believe it was Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark was talking about how, like, when you saw Damar Hamlin on the field and you saw all the players around him, that's a fear that goes through the minds, because you mentioned mentally. the stuff that you guys go through weekly. That's a fear that all of you guys, it's in the back of all your minds. It's in the back of all the parents' minds. It's in the back of you as a parent when you see your kid out there, high school football, youth league. That fear is real.
It's real, man.
And that's what we saw on Monday night. I mean, you saw everyone. You know, you played the game. That was something you thought about. It was in the back of your mind. A lot of other players, and like we saw that, and it's like, and you saw the reaction. You saw the Joe Burrow and Josh Allen hugging each other. It's like, because right there, they had him CPR on the field, so they probably had to bring him back to life on the field, and that's what those players were seeing, and it's like that. That's just something that you don't ever think to see when you watch a football game, or in general, no one ever thinks to see that. That's only something that's dramatized in movies. You don't actually ever get to see that in real life, and it's the real person we're talking about.
Well, I think if people are recognizing it, when you watch the entire game, fourth quarters, guys are battling it out, going after each other, making plays at the tackles and hits and whatnot, and at the very end of the game, when the last play is done, you see guys give each other daps and give hugs. And I always love seeing that scene. I always love seeing that scene because it's never nothing personal. It's all business. It's, it's competition, right? And you're looking to hope that everybody comes out unscathed. That's what you want. And it's like, hey, man, we got through this. Hey, man, good game, right? That's what it's supposed to be. That's sportsmanship, but that's love for your brothers when you're out here competing against. That's what it's all about. And so it's very rare that these things happen when you hear about these personal things. But guys, you're going to have idiots, whatever, but that's these things happen. But usually it is about, the good sportsmanship that you have these guys. Because ultimately these guys could be your teammate one day, right? You could go have a beer. Hey, we beat up. We got bumps and bruises. Hey, man, we can sit back and have a beer after this thing is over. And, you got me on the bill. I got you on this play, right? And so that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen embracing each other was the realness, the humanist part of, who these guys are, right? I'm watching my brother suffering at this moment. All I could do was console him. Let's console each other during this time. And so that is the beauty of this sport, of guys working together and having a common goal to win, but also too, when you're sitting over here at the end of the day, it's all about guys coming home to each other, and coming home to their families and, and friends, and everybody got all right. And it's, that's just part of the football. It's part of the game.
Yeah. And I guess one other thing that that stuck out to me, it's not really being talked about enough, is every sports show, our show, First Take, all the sports shows, all the networks.
Yeah.
Every week they always talk about, roughing the passer, the blindside blocks, how the NFL is, it's changing, it's not what it used to be anymore. We're seeing, and just a play like that, a play where guys get hit in the chest all the time. And the guys get back up, and that's it. They go to their huddles, they go to the sideline, never ever think about it. But that play is something that you see a million times, and for that play, Damar Hamlin, collapses and has cardiac arrest. I think we're seeing, and I hope, and this, it's a reminder to us too. When we talk about, how the game has changed, it wasn't what like you used to play. It's not the same game anymore. They call flags just touching each other, but right. It's a safety hazard. It's safety, and the NFL has taken significant strides in safety to try to make things better for players. That's why you see more of these roughing the passers, these blindside blocks, these new blocks on blocking out by the numbers and tackling below the knees. It's trying to make the game a safer game, and I think
sure.
I think that after seeing this, I know it's such a common play, and it's not a roughing the passer, but I think it hopefully makes more sense to people. Like when we do complain about these roughing the passers, NFL is trying to make the game safer for you guys, for players, and I think that's something that that's something that I took out of this whole situation. That whether it wasn't a roughing the passer play, but for stuff like that, it's a reason why they have that in there in the game to try to make it safer for the players. Do you kind of see that too?
No, I do. I think in any game like this, especially a very very brutal sport, like we're talking about, this is full force contact sport, collisions. You got to examine everything, right? And there's going to be blind spots, and it's like, look, this is something we might have missed, or say we need to be a little bit, more concerned about that. And what ends up happening, you're not going to be able to stop everything, right? Like there was no malice. There's nothing that was done that changes. Like this is a play that happens 1,000 times guys are hitting in a game.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, right? And so that's why such a small percentage of a very low thing, like something like this happened, that you had to hit the guy just right at that time. I have a very good friend, Dr. Thomas DeSessa. I hope you don't mind me telling him, but this a well-renowned cardiologist that lives up the street from me. Wonderful, wonderful man. He contacted me immediately and told me that's what it was, like the what is it, the commortis corti, whatever, like that. That's what he was. At least he was saying it could be that. Like I never heard that before until he said that, and I was just like, "Well, what's that?" And I looked it up, and I'm just like, "Wow, that could necessarily be it." But I think with something like that, like you said, you don't see it that often. I think I looked at it, a case study, and there was like only 441 out of, like, I don't know how many years like it's ever had this certain situation, right? And so it may be more prominent, they say, when younger kids, and the reason it is because of where they're not developed, I think, in the thoracic area or something like that. That's the reason, where you don't have a breastplate and bone that is developed to cover that area of your heart up. You know what I'm saying? And so that, like, that blow is a little bit more significant to them because of the underdevelopment of the chest area. Okay, and so that was like, oh wow, okay. So you see, like, there's the correlation to these things, right? Yeah. But it's just so unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and like I said, these, like, what are you going to do? And I heard, look, some idiot takes. Not going to name them names, but idiots are saying, well, he led with his helmet or this and that, blah blah. Stupid. That is as idiotic as as a take you could possibly get. It really is. He wasn't like T. Higgins, but he's low on his shoulder because he don't want to get hit. So he's like taking the blow. He's going for the blow, like we were taught to do as football players, right? Like you're taught to do when you're out there on the football field. Nobody's saying, hey, you don't do this or don't do that. That's it's ridiculous. This is as childish of a take or being unaware that I could possibly say about that. I just idiotic to make that statement, especially from people that should know, who's played the game. And all of a sudden, just shift blame to make it look like it's this guy's fault. That's how devastating it is for him to even think that he was the one that caused this. Like it was his fault. That's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, ethnically, just looking at it like, oh well, yeah, but like you thought he was trying to do it. That was the reason he was trying to do. Just the unfortunate things, how these things happen, man. It's just, and he's devastated, and so we got to hold him up. Pray for him, like T. Higgins in these times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just got to put our arms around everybody at that moment. But like that bad behavior, man, calling things like that out, like I'm just like, and we know who that some ones are, but certain ones should know better.
Yeah.
Certain ones should know better.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the certain ones, former players who are making comments like blaming T. Higgins, I think sometimes they do it. Even, and it's awful too, because you're doing it in the lowest of times to do it, where you want to get your name out there. It's like it's not a time to have a hot takey thing to get your name trending online. I don't know if that is why he was blaming T. Higgins or a certain guy, and some other guys too. I've seen Skip Bayless had a ridiculous tweet about it. I don't know why you want to be the center of attention when it's like it has nothing to do with you, and that's why Shan Sharp didn't want to come on the show. He wanted just the attention to be on Damar Hamlin, and he didn't want to come on his show and even talk about the tweet that Skip Bayless had. So it's like a lot of these times I don't even know why people. I mean, I think that's the lowest, and I think that the social media helps that, where you got people who want to have not play devil's advocate, but have a different take where it's like, oh man, you're disgusting, but everyone's talking about it still. They're the center of attention, and their names being mentioned as close to Damar Hamlin's, and that shouldn't be the case at all.
Well, and look, I want to, try to be like, you want to explore, what a guy is saying, right? You want to dissect, fully what is being said, right? And I, maybe Skip, I heard it, some of the things he might have said. I read the tweet. I don't know if he was being callous. It sounded callous. Maybe it wasn't his intent. Maybe it was. But what I do know is sometimes the lack of awareness, right?
Yeah.
In how you're saying it at the time, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate at this moment. Like, you should have everything out of your head. Well, maybe if you think this way, right, call a joke out on it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by this? Like, hey, man, no matter 5 minutes of what this game means. What difference does that make? Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, there's certain players or people, I'm going to say certain figureheads that come out who want to be the villain for whatever reason. They want to be antithetical to everything that's going on or want to be that guy, right? Yeah. We know who some of those people are. We know who some of those parties are that do that. They kind of rear their ugly head. And when they come out and they say things, and you see it, you immediately see it. When somebody comes and say, whatever it may be, I don't care where you are on the side of vaccines and stuff like that, but coming in and talking about, it's a vaccine or could be in the jack, or we want to ask questions. Hey, man, listen, how about we actually put some thought into what's going on with this guy, okay? More so than anything else. And we could talk about those things, whatever, later, but this is not the time to co-opt a situation, a tragedy to try to make your point political. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, it's absolutely crazy to me. And so these things shouldn't be done. I get, how these things go. And I really didn't want to go down that route. I really didn't. But I think at this moment, with more so than anything else, we have a duty and responsibility to show empathy and compassion for our fellow man, a fellow brother, period. Okay. I think that's the most important thing.
Yep.
I think I love people who see it for that, because that's also a telling of your character, right? And I look, I get that people have different things about it, but I'm talking about, hey, man, how about we put the things aside and everybody put their energy to fight for this guy's life to be, to be saved. So, and that's all I really wanted to kind of say about that. I just think, maybe what Skip said, where he might sit in, like you said, his smugness, where, the self-absorbed, not wanting to apologize. Hey, he has every right to. That's fine. What? Fine. Sit there in it. That's fine. People have a reason to jump at you because you sit in your smugness or wherever you are, right? And it's like, if you clarify yourself, fine, cool. That, and maybe that's what, you want to be there and not necessarily, not necessarily double down or say, like, look, maybe people misunderstood what I said, but this is not what I meant. I didn't mean that by no form or fashion. I'm sure people took it that way, but that's not what I meant. And hopefully it's not that. And I think it's maybe where he went with it on saying that. I didn't really get to see all of what, Skip has said, because people were just talking and they were always bringing up to this. And to be honest with you, like a lot of that, man, I don't even listen to as much because I just think to me, it's silly. And I think it's just, like I said, the lack of compassion, for people that or situations that go on, that you could have some decency, at that moment, to kind of do the right thing. And so, I just, sometimes you people, like you said, need to come in and say what they need to say.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever, man. How about we talk about we pray for our brother? How about we do that?
Yeah.
Right.
And like I know we went down a little rabbit hole of talking about the negative people as far as this whole thing is gone, but there is a lot of good. And you kind of mentioned the tour, the fundraiser that Damar had been it was giving back toys for kids. Part of his foundation, the Chasing M's Foundation. He had a goal of $2,500. And right now, I'm looking at the page right now, almost $7 million have been raised, and that's good from everybody. There's a lot of people chipping in. One of the most recent donations, you have $9, and then you also have a Jim Irsay in the Indianapolis Colts donating $25,000. So it's like you're seeing it from everybody. So as much as there are going to be always going to be the negative people out there, there's a lot of good in this world, and we're seeing what's going on.
There's a lot of good in this world. There's a lot of good in people. There's a lot of that, and that was on display on Monday night.
Yep.
Or the support of the foundation and the people praying and thinking about him, sending an injury up to the universe and all those different things and whatever, people were doing, where their thoughts was going to that. That is the good part of what we had. There's more of that. Sometimes you just get sent and shown the ugliness. And I think it's what happens is because that is being put out here in front of everybody more so than anything else, as opposed to the goodness that's actually happening in this world. Actually, people are, right? I don't want to think bad about Skip. I don't want to think bad about these people, and really don't. So that's why I said it's very important to display our character in the great way, our great nature, right? So, we're supposed to be loving to our neighbors. Loving to our neighbors. We need more of that. Like it needs to be shown more. And people that's keep doing it. Let's stamp out all of this, man, this negativity that's just running rampant, across America and the world, because people get so much caught up into those things as far as the divide, right? The polarization about this and that you miss out on the goodness that people actually have to give.
Yeah.
Right? You become jaded. No, a nihilist. I don't want to. And lost lack of empathy and compassion. And I'm just like, do not get caught up in that. Don't. Okay. There's good people out here. Matter of fact, you be the good that you want to see in this world, right? Like those saying, go be the good that you want to see in this world. Do that. So football and sports brings people like that, bring people together. That's what we want to do. We want to bring the people together, man. And just regardless of what job you work in, anything like it happens, you want people to be okay. Yeah. You want them to be all right. You want them to go home to their families, and that's what you want to happen.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, Damar is training in the right direction. He's progressing real well. He's 50% off the ventilator, so he's 50% on his own. I believe they flipped him on his stomach. And they also said, I was watching CNN earlier, and they were saying that that's a good thing. When they had one of the doctors on, they were saying that's a good thing. The fact they can, flip him. He's in a state where they can do that with him to help him breathe even more. So, it's progressing well. And I think it was one of the uncles had talked to reporters saying things are that he has certain numbers that he has hit that the doctors wanted to see by today, and so they said it's all trending in the right way. So. Hopefully it's a step closer, to him, returning home to his family and stuff. So.
Brother, man, we hoping and praying for a favorable outcome for Damar. No doubt about it. And remain hopeful. Yep. And all these things, remain hopeful. And like I said, for everybody involved. So. Yep.
And one thing I like seeing you kind of mentioned all the medical staffs that are there at NFL games. I didn't realize that at every NFL game, they have a physician specialized in airway management on site. Something so specific. And obviously that's, that person's what saved Damar's life. With that, if a person wasn't specialized in that right there, that's,
Brother, that's important. That's integral as far as like the survival rate is, of getting the air to them, the oxygen, to the brain and to the blood circulating in them. That is so important, right? My brother who was EMT, he was asking about what happened. He said he's seen it. He said, man, getting the air to him. I said, well, I think they had somebody that was getting the air. He said, man, when you do CPR, he said, it's a violent look. It's violent. And so when people see like, almost like the lifelessness of the eyes. And oh man, I just, all of that. He said, but getting that air is so important. He said, man, to get oxygen, even like around him and stuff like that, he said, man, it's so key. And so we was finding out that, yeah, then you have somebody like that there. And that's, NFL doing a job. It's them doing the job, right? So all those guys involved, man, superb job. Now, I'm gonna say this. Another person I want to call out. Superb job. Couldn't have been anybody better to represent us than Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I'm sitting there, Ryan is pulling out every thought in the words, how he was doing it. Just an amazing job, man. When I see him, I get to see him, I'm gonna tell him that it was so important for his voice to be heard in that moment. And I don't know anybody else that could have done a better job. I thought he was just absolutely spot on, amazing how he was saying it to capture the emotion of what guys were feeling and just taking it through it. You could see it in his eyes, how he was just tormented and shredded by what he saw, like all the other, guys that play, like you said, when you see it, man, man, incredible, brother. And just incredible. And I had to just tweet him and let him know, man, but that amazing job, man, Ryan Clark. I mean, everybody on ESPN, everybody that spoke, and I mean, really, everybody did an amazing job. But when I say capture, the feeling of the player, somebody that has been there, man, he did it. I don't know anybody else. Like I said, I was like, man, that was such an incredible job, man. I couldn't even see anybody else making that the way he did in the statement. So balanced. It just in depth with what he said. But I love his perspective, this in his integrity in telling the whole story and just capturing what it was. So
yeah, I like you said, I think that entire ESPN crew, like you said earlier, it was a Monday Night Football game between the Bengals, the Bills, had so many different implications involved with that. This is the last thing anyone expected, right? And so everyone's thrust into this kind of breaking news environment where like everyone has to talk on the fly about what's going on. They don't really know what's going on, but the players like Booger McFarland and Ryan Clark, who had to speak about this, they may not know what was going on, but they felt and they were those players in the field at one point, and they know what's going through their minds. They know what's going through their families' minds. They know what's going, all that stuff that's going on. They could kind of, give us that visualization. And honestly, just to give, and I think people kind of say this a lot on the show that it's like, our hearts and prayers are with Damar Hamlin right now. And that's honestly, that's it. No one cares about this. No one cares about the game. No one cares about the score. Nothing else matters right now but his health and safety.
Right. And all of them, Adam, Booger, Lisa, Joe, Troy. I mean, they all wonderful. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's hard. It's tough. Sometimes when you see these things happen and you capture somebody who's never been there before, right? Seeing something like this. I mean, millions of people who's watching this right now, are looking for those voices of reason and solace, with answers. But when I'm telling you, the type of balance that is required at that time is very, very important. So amazing job by all of them.
So again, on behalf of the entire Chief Concerns crew, we're sending our love and our prayers to Damar Hamlin and his family. And hopefully, we continue to see positive news come out of this each and every day as we go forward here.
Right. That's right.
So this is a question, and I know, obviously, Damar's health is of the utmost importance. Football is football. It's a game, right? And his health is one thing, but the going forward aspect, right, for the teams, Buffalo and Cincinnati. We have Week 18 coming up. And that was the big thing of this game was the playoff implications of it, the seedings and stuff. That was just another little nugget in this whole thing was the fact that this is, you can arguably say, probably one of the biggest games of the year with the implications and the big names that were involved in this game too. And Monday night game too, one of the biggest prime times that we have each and every week. So the big thing is, if Cincinnati won that game, the Chiefs would have been locked in at the 1 seed. Buffalo would have dropped to, I believe, the 3 seed had they lost that game. And Cincinnati be a number 2 seed. Now, with that game, and as of right now, that game's not being played, and there's a chance that it's going to become a no contest, and the game would not be played. But there's also apparently a small chance of it doing a week 19 where they would play the rest of that game, and then the bye week before the Super Bowl, from the championship game to the Super Bowl, there would be no more bye week. They would just play up until that point. So if there was no contest, the Chiefs would end up winning, getting the 1 seed because they'd go by winning percentage, and we would have the highest winning percentage because we have one more game than Buffalo. So my question is, JD, obviously, you're not the one, you don't have to make this decision, but what do you think the NFL should do as far as to try to make this to make this kind of the fairest thing? Because obviously, with everyone's mind being on this Damar Hamlin thing, you're still seeing a lot of fans from Buffalo's side, Cincinnati's side saying, "Oh, it's not fair the Chiefs get the 1 seed because we're the teams that had to deal with this," right? But they can make rules that I also heard that they might do this, not flip of a coin kind of thing, but a number generator that would kind of I don't know, that would settle. I don't know how it would work, but apparently it's a more modern coin flipping. So what do you think? How do you think they should go with this? If they go no contest, should they stick with the winning percentage? I mean, as the NFL has always gone by winning percentage.
You know what, man? I mean, right, like you said, all secondary. Looking at the business side of it.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it should be a no contest. I think it. What you do, you just move on. Either you make it a tie. And it's it's the furnace of affliction, right? Nobody wants to be in there, and it's very unfortunate that the situation happened. No doubt about it. I think it's the only resolution. I really do. Because the thing is, if you try to squeeze that one week 19 and all of that into it, man, it's just I don't. To me, it didn't. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You could do it. I don't know. My thought is, hey man, you know what? This is what it is. It's the deal. So guys play with it. This is because there's a lot of things that's unfortunate. You shoot. I mean, seriously. It is. And this is the ultimate one.
Yeah.
So but I think that, to me, is that's the resolution. And to be honest with you, I don't care if it was the Chiefs or whoever I'm rooting for. If this would happen, then so be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Such as fate, such as the cards that's dealt with you. So let's go. Let's see what comes about it and stuff. So I don't know, man. I just that those things like that are lost on me, because when you see it, like it's like
yeah.
Hey, grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Right. I mean, obviously that's the number one thing on everyone's mind is, Damar Hamlin's health.
But it's okay. It's the battle that we had to fight, right? It's the suffering of what goes on in the situation. So, but I think that to me is like the best course of action.
Mm.
I think that is the more reasonable resolution to this. But that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. So
as far as, since you play in the NFL, they always try to stick by the rules, right? So the winning percentage would be the rule to go by. If this game is no contest, so then it would go by winning percentage. But I've read somewhere online, and I haven't heard of any reliable sources, but people online were saying that the NFL should go by losses. And at that point, you look at the losses that Buffalo has, and you look at, they have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs and they beat them.
Yeah.
Could you, being in the NFL as you play for so many years, could you see the NFL changing up the rule to going by, instead of going winning percentage, they go by losses, or no?
That could be a consideration. Sometimes looking at it, that could be a consideration. But even then, you had to look at, okay, well, who beat you and where were they ranked? Were they the ones that beat you? And are they on the lower totem pole or the ones that beat you? So how do you, when you look at that, then it's like, all right, then we got to do a whole lot more analysis going into this thing to bring it up to where it is, right? To make it a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I see that, but this is so out of the realm of anything that's ever been possible before that, like this to happen. It's almost like I look at it like it's almost like the coin flip, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, shoot, we had the coin flip for this. And it's just unfortunate because the coin flip happened to land on heads or tails.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, that's what it is. And so got to deal with it. Right. So hopefully these experiences, like the part of that, adversity, fighting through a time like this will bring you to a resolution in the future with something that like it's happened. It's like, okay, well, we apply it this year, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I let them guys make a decision on how they want to do it. Put it this way. Regardless of what decisions being made, you ain't gonna make everybody happy. So period. That's
yeah.
Somebody's gonna be feel like they got slighted or left out or whatever it may be, or somebody's gonna be like, no, I don't agree with that. That's right. That's their prerogative for that. But NFL is that machine, man, about making money. So like they said about the whole 5 minutes, or who said we don't say and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I could almost believe that they was trying to get him on for 5 minutes. And hats off to Sean and what's my
Zach Taylor.
And Zach was saying, no, the players, no, we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
No, we ain't gonna sit here and act like everything's all right. Okay. Yeah. For the owners' entertainment and money making it. No, we're not. No.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to these the machine, as you said, the NFL. The show goes on with those guys. So yeah, them saying the 5 minute thing is not out of the realm for them to be saying it. But Troy Vincent saying that 5 minutes was never a thing. I tend to believe that Troy Vincent was, that he's saying that.
And maybe it could have been, up top. They were talking about it, and Troy was like, "Nah, we ain't doing 5 minutes. Like, how could you even remotely even try to do something like that? Think about that. This guy's not going to be the same. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, how can you the ridiculousness of like somebody saying that in 5 minutes, guys get ready, warm up, sprint down the field. What?
Yeah.
Like, are you when we watching this? Did you just watch this? Bet we don't. How about that?
Yeah.
If we find out who said that and made those statements, we gonna let you know how we feel. You know what I mean? We gonna let our voices be heard against you. And so I think, maybe if whoever said it, the miscommunication, or maybe it didn't happen, it happened, they don't get to the bottom of it. And then all hell's gonna break loose. Believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. So in regards to seedings and stuff, I was reading, I was watching Jeff Schwartz on Fox Sports today. He was saying that if this game is no contest, the Patriots play the Bills this week, and Patriots need this game to get into the playoffs. If Patriots end up beating the Bills, then it doesn't matter. The no contest doesn't matter anymore, because that's one loss that they have. Yeah. Obviously, the Chiefs have to beat the Raiders this weekend in order for that to play out too. So the Chiefs lose to the Raiders, doesn't matter. All the other stuff doesn't matter. The no contest or not, Bills get the 1 seed, and that's it. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens this weekend. So before we get to the final topic, the game predictions, JD, big news came in right before we ended up coming on tonight. Mecole Hardman is back. He's activated. There were some fears yesterday that if he wasn't activated by today, because I think today was the deadline, that he wouldn't be able to play football for us for the rest of the season. And he's a free agent next year, so it could have been the last of Mecole Hardman that we've seen. But he's activated and he's ready to go. How big of that? How big is that for us to have Mecole Hardman back in the offense?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, he's a big part of offensively though what we do. Like part of like some of the plays is geared toward his skill set, and so Mecole is a big part of the Chiefs' success over the years, and he's a weapon. He's a skillful guy that brings a lot to the offense. Man, he's an explosive player. And so it's just, and what it does also too is the guys knowing that he's back, right?
Yeah.
That brings about a whole different of like confidence, and feel good of like knowing your guys back on the field. Yeah, he's goes back, and I know he's bouncing around. And I'm sure I knew they was going to do it. So even if there was a setback, you still be able to get him at some point, and so. You still want to put yourself, in that situation, not having him for the season. But yeah, man, that a guy who's a vocal guy that you can't wait to see back out there on the field. I mean, guys they're gonna root for that all day, no doubt.
And we haven't had a chance to see Hardman and Tony together yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of fast things out there, a lot of fast moving parts, brother. A lot of fast cars.
Yeah, and he's getting his he's pulling a pen out of his ear, and he's getting locked and loaded to make some creations with those two.
Yeah. Oh, good.
All right, so final topic. So Chiefs game got flexed to Saturday this weekend. I believe it's 4:30 start time in Las Vegas. Chiefs are a 9.5-point favorite against the Jarrett Stidham led Las Vegas Raiders. JD, who do you have in this one? And what are your keys to victory in this one?
Who do I have? I mean, obviously I got the Chiefs. Keys to victory is, always the same. Keep Patrick upright, run the football effectively, guys get open, tackle, stop the run, score points, stop from scoring points. It's that simple. Protect the football. Protect the football. And so you're dealing with a team that's going through a lot of adversity themselves out there. And so, hey, but there's always the Raiders. They always going to have some up their sleeve. They're always going to come out to try to play the best against the Chiefs. So you make sure we just go out and handle business. It's all about handling business and staying healthy. That's the main thing. Everybody remain healthy too through that. But that's the keys to victory. I think right now the score of the game. 31-14.
So you don't think Stidham has a repeat performance like what he did against San Francisco last week?
No, 31-14. That's where I'm at. I think. Well, you still got Devontae Adams, right?
True.
Adams, and but you be effective. I think that's what the Chiefs are. They're revving to, like I said, getting geared to play in the playoffs. And this is one of those things to prepare you about what you do right now when you're moving forward, right? So you got to have a great offensive outing. You got to have a great defensive outing. And that will build momentum going into the playoffs. And so what better team to do it against the Raiders, right? So
first game against a non-Derek Carr quarterback with the Raiders in 8 years. End of an era, 3-14 against Derek Carr. I'm gonna miss those days.
Yeah, man. Hey, shoot.
One last thing before we go, JD. This is something that I've seen also. I think a lot of people talking about this is that I think Ryan Clark actually said that the first game and I believe we have the first game since the Bills Monday night game. You said staying healthy, right? How much of what we saw Monday is going to be on the top of every player's mind when they go out there on Saturday? Because I feel like obviously with an injury like that, we talked about it, right? It's a play that happens so much during a football game that you kind of forget, right? That a shot to the chest can do that. I mean, I mean, obviously it's gonna be fresh in their minds, but will it affect these guys at all when they go out there? At least in the first quarter when they go out there on Saturday.
I'm sure the situation should be addressed, and it should be, at least given paying homage to Damar, right? Praying for him, doing something special for him, right? Just letting him all know that we're all here together for you and with you. And so guys are under no illusion that these things can happen. And we understand that. We understand that when we put our pads on, when we go out there for practice, and we understand these things do happen. And the reality is, man, I got a medical book this thick of how you get hurt. And that's the reality of it. This reality of this game. But everybody's going to have that, that faith he's going to get better. And also, too, support one another in that, but it's going to be a healthy competition. I think people want to get back to, going out there. They don't want to be fearful. Guys are not going to be fearful. Like, we've gone through our entire lives playing football. That we realize the level of, I guess, or lack of these things happening, being prominent as playing football. So it doesn't happen that often. I think guys are not going to worry about like, oh man, what if you can't think that way. There's no way you can think about that way. Because every little thing can happen. It's like, man, what if no. Guys are professional. Like I said, we're football players, man, but we're human. We understand this, and we understand these things, concerns, and our family's going to probably hug us more and just, be safe, be careful. And we say that all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Right. You just got to have faith and hope that everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. And I mean, playing in high school and youth league, I remember that was something that the coaches would tell you when you play scared or play tentative, that's when you have a higher chance of getting hurt. So,
yes. Well, no doubt about it. That's the reason why that couldn't happen with them going back on. There's no way.
Yeah.
Right. Put everybody else in jeopardy, and you just couldn't do it. It's not, it's not good.
But that does it for us. We hope everyone likes the show this week. And we hope everyone can take a moment, if you haven't already. I'm sure most everyone has already. Take a moment to say some prayers. And send your love and well wishes to Damar Hamlin and his family.
All right, man. Everybody be good. Be good to each other. Praying for Damar Hamlin, bro. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.